If you do any gaming on Linux or just running Windows software on Linux, you've almost certainly come across an application called Bottles. This is a convenient way for managing your wine prefixes, installing mixing dependencies, and just generally making the process a lot easier than using wine directly. This is similar to other tools like Lutris, for example. There's very clear differences between them, but they serve the same general purpose. Now, I don't personally use it because all the games that I play are available on Steam. Everything else has a Linux version, and the one game that's not on Steam, or at least I don't play the Steam version, is FF14, but that has a Flatpak for the XIV launcher. But if you play games outside of Steam, or you just want to run Windows applications on Linux, this is a great thing to look at. And almost every single time there is packaging drama about downstream versus upstream, Bottles is at the center of it, because the developers have made it explicitly clear that the only supported package is the official Flatpak available on FlatHub. Not the Fedora package, not the OpenSUSE package, not the AUR package, not some third-party build, only this package they directly provide. Now, that's not that uncommon for a lot of projects to have, like OBS. The only supported packages on Linux are the Ubuntu package and the one on FlatHub. But the difference in the Bottles case is not only the Flatpak the only one they support, it is the only one they actively care about. If you have problems with the other packages, that's not their problem, they don't want to deal with it. If you cannot replicate the problem in the Flatpak, they don't even want to see a bug report. They don't want these other packages to exist. Full stop. So much so, in fact, that back in 2022, this open letter was released. Please don't unofficially ship Bottles in distribution repositories. At the time, they had both the FlatHub and the AUR package. That has since been retired from their maintainership. Now, whilst not being the only target, the primary target of this was the Fedora project, with, at the time, their frankly broken package, which another contributor suggested this: take down unofficial, outdated packages. I'm making this issue as I've noticed that Fedora currently has Bottles in their repo and it's outdated. The latest build provided is from July. If I remember correctly, this was posted in December. I believe that it'll be useful for Bottles to notify and ask distributions that are still shipping Bottles to potentially take down the packages in the event they're not maintained anymore, or to mark them as unofficial in some way otherwise. Alternatively, Bottles can add a check for whether or not it's in a Flatpak and use that to notify the end user. But I don't think that would be taken well and will most likely end up being disabled by package maintainers. Well, I didn't actually properly read this part earlier. This is very relevant to what we're talking about today. Now, the main issue with an outdated package in a distro is users don't report bugs to the distro. You can say that's the way they should be doing and all this good stuff. Users don't do that. For the most part, they report issues directly to the project, and if it's some version they're not supporting, that's just clutter, because it might be a bug they fixed 4 months ago, but the distro has a broken version of the package, and there's nothing the developers of the project can do about that. At the time, this exploded into a whole thing, like, is it okay for a project to say, don't package this? Should distros be packaging things and all that? And of course, I did a video at the time. I don't know why I used to wear black shirts in these videos. It may be blended right into the background. Once again though, one of the maintainers decided to reignite the old fires of drama. Exit on non-sandboxed environments. Remember what I said, that this part here is very relevant? Well, that's exactly what Skelly has done here. It's been 2 years, yet we've seen several cases of distributions effing up Bottles one way or another, so it's best to protect future users by exiting on non-sandbox environments. Basically, if it's not running in a Flatpak, the application just crashes. Not exactly crashes. It is now displaying like a pop-up saying, hey, the application is not going to work like this. You have to run it in a Flatpak, and then it crashes. And with that change, this got signed off very quickly, looks good to me, and merged. Now, This got what might be one of the dumbest replies I will ever see. I just think they have zero reading comprehension. At this point, Bottles is not even open source. You should change the license to proprietary. Free and open source software, FOSS, is software that is available under a license that grants the right to use, modify, and distribute the software, modified or not, to everyone free of charge. I do not understand how you read this paragraph and think what is being done here somehow makes the application not free software. After being called out by some of the replies, he took a different approach, submitting such PRs without achieving the main goal of this PR. Since distro maintainers could easily revert this patch, it's probably for very smart and skilled people only. So the next step is closing the source of Bottles, I guess. FOSS nowadays. Just some comments from Happy Bottles users of the non-Flatpak build. Now, I tried to search for this quote. I could not find it anywhere, so I guess.
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
And don't worry, it gets even stupider. They still have zero reading comprehension. The fact that you harden out free software is, or if you're doing this intentionally, then just proves that Bottles is not free software at this point with this PR. I love how you can say the fact that you harden out free software is, and then go on this following rant. So, the 4 essential freedoms of free software. 1. The freedom to run the program as you wish for any purpose. There is no freedom anymore after this PR is merged. The app will not run without modifying code. Developers intentionally prevent running app for non-Flatpak builds. If user decides to compile the app yourself for non-Flathub environment, non-Flatpak environment, the app will not work. Now, there is no guarantee that an application is going to function consistently across different environments if you compile it by yourself. That is not a requirement for something to be free software. By this same logic, AMD's drivers are not free software because they won't work if you have an NVIDIA card. So, just think about what you're saying. The freedom to redistribute copies so you can help others. Freedom 2. Developers not allowing you to do this and making life intentionally harder for downstream packages. Nowhere in the 4 freedoms does it say that you have to be able to make a Linux package. In fact, the 4 freedoms actually predate Linux. They have nothing to do with making packages. They're all about redistributing the application. You can do that. There is no restriction on that. None at all. You can even take the Flatpak installed on your system, copy that, move it somewhere else. And you know what you can also do? You can go to the repo. Okay, there's going to be something crazy. Click this button here and download it. Nothing's stopping you. It's under a GPL v3 license. You're allowed to do that. The freedom to distribute copies of your modified versions to others. Freedom 3. By doing this, you can give the whole community a chance to benefit from your changes. Access to the source code is a precondition for this. Now, this is where I get to the point where I actually just don't think they read the thing they posted. The access to the source code is just a precondition. This does not mean that this is a FOSS app just because the source code is open. So since the license still allows to modify and redistribute the app, this PR is just nonsensical at best. The only way to achieve the goal of this PR is changing the license to proprietary. Now, the freedom is to distribute modified versions to others. Again, literally nothing is stopping that. And just because you can do so doesn't mean this PR is useless, because that means that people that want to package it have to go out of their way to remove the patch. Now, if I was them, I wouldn't make a very simple patch that does this. I would make the application not running without being in a Flatpak a core part of the app and removing it an absolute nightmare, so nobody wants to do it. Look, if you're gonna be an arsehole to every single distro out there, go all the way with it. Don't just make a little patch they can easily revert. No. Make it so they need to work for it. Now, after a very lengthy reply from Skelly, basically saying, what are you even talking about? This is not at all true. We're not going to make the application proprietary. The thread was locked by Mirko Bromben, the main maintainer of Bottles, saying, read what you quoted again. Again, the person has no idea what they're talking about. But this is relevant to another thing I also want to talk about. So with the merger of this patch, Skelly pointed out a patch that was made over in the OpenSUSE package of Bottles. Don't support .patch. This is a patch that removes their donate button from Bottles. And here we have the changelog for the OpenSUSE package of Bottles. If we go down to December 13th, right here, add patches, don't support .patch, and don't care about sandbox.patch. Now, this patch still does exist in the project today because the package would not be able to function if this patch was not added. This is the thing that basically reverts this patch here, but it was added alongside the don't support patch. This patch has since been deleted. This is why I have an archive of it. Now, a few days after these patches were added, a very clearly burner account was created to make a bug report over on the OpenSUSE Bugzilla. Bottles does not behave according to the maintainer vision. How do I know it's a burner account? Well, the account is called Save Bottles. As described in the issue we mentioned before, the pull request I mentioned before, the exit on non-sandboxed environments, Bottles is supposed to exit when not running sandbox. Please read and adjust your package accordingly to match upstream maintainer vision and restore expected app behavior. Thank you. This is obviously a troll. The package could not function without making that patch. This is clearly a packaging issue because the SUSE package does not behave as the upstream code defines behavior. Hence, this is opened in this bug tracker as requested in this post over on Mastodon, which is actually not what that comment was about in the first place. That comment was actually about the removal of the donation button, which two separate issues, but they are connected. And that's the key point here. Removing the donation button and making the application work without being in a sandbox are two different issues, and one of them is considerably worse than the other, especially when removing donation buttons is not applied consistently. So this all began blowing up over on Mastodon, and then a change request was made over on the OpenSUSE package. This SR deletes the patch that removes the donation functionality. There is no good reason to remove a donation button as a package maintainer. It is also unfair as projects like KDE don't get the same treatment. The same thing is true for Thunderbird as well. Both of these have in-application notifications telling you, hey, you can go donate. Patches are not applied there to go and remove it. Now, this one does say revoked. The reason for that is there is a separate change being made that has updates to the changelog. Hi, I agree with this reversion. I don't think it's a good idea that we patch out donation links. I also agree with this reversion. If it's SUSE policy to remove donation buttons, then it should be done for all projects. If not, then none at all. And someone links over to the packaging guidelines. We'll get to those in just a moment. So these people here are not maintainers of the package, but here is one of them. Hello there. While I did not add the patch, I suppose it has been done in order to favor the packaging guidelines. As pointed out by a user in the comment above, the thing with packages requesting donations is that it might confuse users whether they do so to support the software itself, the maintainers, or the OpenSUSE project. So the specific line is this right, where is it? Donation requests. Packaging content, descriptions, summaries, / comments should never contain a direct donation request, neither for upstream project nor for the packager. Even if we do not deny the need for donations with such projects, they should market the campaign on their website and not use downstream packaging for such purposes. If you find a package that is asking for donations at runtime, it is up to the packager to keep this code or patch it out. I don't think it should be the packager patching it out. I honestly don't think there's any reason to remove a donation button. Now, you might be able to make an argument for like donation pop-ups and things like that, but a button? No. No. That should never be removed. Also, I'm not fully on board with removing notifications anyway, because this is a big part of the reason why there is no funding in the FOSS world. Because nobody's asking for money, because when was the last time you went to KDE's website? Probably never. Maybe like once. That's why these projects don't get much funding, because nobody's actually asking for money, nobody knows how to do so, and the second they actually ask for money, would you look at that? They get money. But there needs for sure a better guideline as on how we do accept donation requests inside applications and which is considered acceptable and what not. Because thinking this further through raises multiple questions. For example, the donation button of bottles is a lot more noticeable to the end user since it is a colored button, unlike other UI elements which makes it peek out. Some may even call it a dark pattern. If you're calling a colored donation button a dark pattern, go outside. Just go outside. It's not a dark pattern. Stop it. A dark pattern would be pretending like the donation button is a regular button and then hiding it in the interface and it just randomly opens up. That would be a dark pattern, making it so it's very obvious that you can go and click on it, and very obvious that you don't go and click on it. That's not a dark pattern. While I personally have no strong opinions against this in the case of bottles, I do also not have any strong opinions in favor of it. Therefore, I'd like to propose a few things. 1. There needs to be a more in-depth OpenSUSE-wide discussion about funding and donation requests by applications and how we as a project treat such packages. Well, judging by the fact that you don't actually remove them on most of the projects that have donation buttons, this is just not a real packaging requirement, like at all. So, yeah. It should just be removed. 2. Maybe we can improve the do not donate patch to make it configurable, therefore adding a custom setting into bottles so we can allow the user to disable it while the default might be enabled. Sure. 3. Submit a patch to the upstream project to add such a toggle as mentioned in 2. That is never going to happen because they don't want your package to exist in the first place. 4. We keep it as it is for now until the whole thing is sorted out and there are better defined guidelines on this matter. No, that's not a solution. The solution is remove it until there are better defined guidelines. Now, as for the maintainer that actually made the change, that was RRAL0, otherwise known as Richard Rahl. I will comment more about this issue, or it accepted Thaldan's request as it actually had a changelog, that being the one over here. So, after some thought, yes, I definitely overreacted. After reading this, which is the issue made 2 years ago by Oro about removing outdated packages, I just removed a tad too much. But with how hostile some contributors are, I can only imagine it'll get worse to patch out stuff so it works on inferior packaging systems. Therefore, I will revoke my own maintainership on December 31st, which is basically exactly what they wanted. Like... This is pretty much what they want from the package. Now, the package isn't going away. There are other maintainers here, but if you can get everyone to abandon the package, then they win. That's what they want. They want none of the package to exist. They want the package to be abandoned and removed from OpenSUSE. Like they want it removed from Fedora, but that hasn't happened. Now, I've made it pretty clear before that I am very supportive of upstream packaging efforts. If a project wants to have an upstream package, that's totally fine. If they actually want to go and make it hard for downstream packages to exist, look, I don't think that's a bad thing either. Yes, you could say, well, it's the way we've always done it. We always had these distros having their own packages. We shouldn't just have a single package available, and different distros can identify different issues, and different maintainers are going to be better at packaging applications, and all of that stuff is fair. But at the same time, I don't think a package or an application needs to make it easy for those packages to exist anyway. So, what do you think about this whole situation, right? I do think the removal of the donation button is way too far, especially when it's not something consistent done on OpenSUSE. If it was consistent and they just removed all donation-related stuff, totally fair. Whatever, that's their policy. I don't think it should be a policy, but it would still be fair. But like a reaction to another change being made, just that feels weird to me. What do you think? Anyway, if you liked the video, go like the video. And if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, Scribes, LiberaPay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and there's lots of fun stuff happening in the world of OpenSUSE right now.